You're watching the India Today Group C Voter Mood of the Nation opinion poll. I now want to come to some of the key questions we've put up. Who do people think will be the best Prime Minister of India? Let's just pull that graphic back once more, please. Fire it from the top. Here are the responses that we've got. 47% of the 22,000 odd respondents felt Narendra Modi would be the best Prime Minister of the country, and that is huge. It already was at 42 in August 2013. That's jumped up to 47% now, which means half the respondents across the country who were polled by C Voter feel that Modi is the strongest Prime Ministerial candidate at this time. Let's take a look at the other figures. Rahul Gandhi had an approval rating of 20%. That's now coming down to 15%, a loss of 5% votes from Rahul Gandhi and the Congress's perspective. Then there is Arvind Kejriwal, who was at 1% in August. That's jumped up to 9%. That's quite significant because Kejriwal is way ahead of Mayawati, Mamta Banerjee. They'll come on your screens now. But he's way ahead of them. At number 4 is Manmohan Singh, who had 7% in August 2013. That's coming down to 6% in January 2014. Sonia Gandhi had a 4% best Prime Minister approval rating. That's gone up to 6%. Two big stories there. Modi running away with this race, and the other big story that Kejriwal going up from 1 to 9. That's a significant jump for Modi. Mayawati was at 3. She's now down to 2. The others are very marginal players. Jayalalitha was at 1, she's at 2. I now want to come to the next question, and this is about Modi and whether he needs to apologize for the riots. And here, to my mind, is one of the big stories of this opinion poll. Look first at the figures for August 2013, where 51%, which is more than half the people polled, said that Modi needs to apologize for the riots. These are the figures here. Look at the figures in the column for January 2014, where only 39% are saying that Modi needs to apologize. So that percentage actually coming down significantly. The figures for people saying no was 38 earlier. That's also coming down to 26. The number of people who say, oh, we don't know, can't say, has gone up from 11 to 35. So people actually going away from these extremities, gathering here in this don't know, can't say column, and the number of people who want him to apologize, Veer Sanghvi, is actually coming down. And a lot of people now say, no, he doesn't need to apologize. So clearly, Modi's been able to turn this question around.
Yeah, I don't think people necessarily feel differently about the riots, but they now feel increasingly that they are in irrelevance. They happened a long time ago. There have been other issues. Perhaps Modi is best equipped to govern the country. Perhaps he's less corrupt. To go on and to crucify him on the basis of the riot is no longer as relevant as it may have been 2 years ago.
Shiv Vishwanathan has run into trouble with the man earlier, but the reality, Shiv, here is that people now don't seem to believe that Modi needs to say sorry, and a lot of people believe, maybe because of the Ehsan Jafri verdict coming out, where he's not been held guilty by the courts. People say, how long can you keep beating this horse?
See, it's very clear that in a general sense, Modi has beaten the rap. It's very clear that to a certain extent, his message of culture, governance and economic development has dominated the problem of the riots. But there's still that minimum doubt, which I think a person who's going to head the nation has to ask. 26%, 39 is still not a small figure.
No, but it's much lesser than 51. Smriti Irani,
Wait.
BJP taking heart. Yes, go on.
Let me put it this way. I'm not saying it's a major issue today, but it's still there residually.
There are those like Teesta Setalvad and others who can't seem to think beyond the riots when it comes to Modi. But Modi has moved on, and it would seem that a large part of the people who were polled have moved on as well, Smriti Irani.
I think what is very significant in these numbers is the fact that Narendra Modi had always said that if found guilty, he should be hung in a public square. The very fact that Narendra Modi has been judicially vindicated is also reflected in the people's sense and their understanding of the whole situation, where they say that he need not apologize if not a single shred of evidence indicts him in any fashion whatsoever. I also feel that people like, I mean, you mentioned Teesta Setalvad. I'm sure even if God descends from heaven and vindicates Modi personally, people like Teesta Setalvad will not be satisfied. I think those who believe in the judiciary in our country are acutely aware of the fact that on the basis of evidence presented before the courts, Narendra Modi has been vindicated. People have seen Narendra Modi's track records on issues of development and good governance, and I think that what is significant is a 5% or 5-point jump that has been seen in Narendra Modi's popularity throughout the country. We witnessed this popularity when Mr. Modi goes and addresses various rallies across the country. He did one on the 12th of Jan in Goa, which was historic. He addressed a rally today in Gorakhpur, which was also significant given the amount of people who came and the issues he addressed vis-a-vis Uttar Pradesh. So I feel that as we come closer to the elections, we will see an increase in the numbers that you present today.
Okay, Yogendra Yadav is also joining us on this broadcast. He was held up in a meeting and therefore not able to join us at the top of 9. Do you have a breaking story for us? Are you firing Somnath Bharti, Professor Yadav? Because that's what our panel has been saying you and Kejriwal need to do. I'm coming to Modi in just a moment, but first tell us, what is the decision in the meeting that held you back? If you can just push that phone which is close to your mic aside, we'd be able to hear us much better. We're picking up some static. Just leave them. Yes, go on, answer.
Okay. I said on the first issue of his speech, especially the way he spoke about two senior leaders, Shri Arun Jaitley and Shri Harish Salve, the party has reprimanded him and instructed him to improve and not to repeat it in future. On the question of Khidki extension, we looked at all the evidence. We came to a conclusion that there is a real problem there, that Somnath Bharti intervened in order to address the grievances of the people who he represents, and that in the evidence that we have looked at so far, we do not see there is any material which demands the kind of, which requires the kind of action media has been demanding. However, there are three big questions that still remain to be answered after a full evidence review. One, whether that night anything that he did was inappropriate for a minister or was he misusing his power. B, whether he was involved in any misbehavior with a woman. 3, through his conduct or speech, do we get any trace of racialism? On all the three questions, our preliminary investigation does not find any evidence against him, but we have said we would let the judicial inquiry come to a conclusion.
Now, Smriti Irani is itching to come in and respond to what you're saying. I don't know who's been doing your investigation. The answers to those questions are fairly self-evident.
Yes, when it comes to Mr. Bharti? So this is an internal mechanism set up to give clean chits to people they deem fit, and it seems that it's been declared that the Aam Aadmi Party is now the judge and jury on every incident that transpires on the streets of Delhi, and the law per se needs to be totally left aside, and it's the Aam Aadmi Party which will decide now in Delhi, particularly Mr. Kejriwal and Mr. Yadav, whether somebody has broken the law or not. So I asked the question tonight on Headlines Today, who is this body or people who are doing this investigation, who in such a short span of time have given a clean chit to Mr. Bharti, who was seen publicly breaking the law, who was seen publicly racially profiling people?
Can I respond now?
Yes, Professor Yadav.
The person conducting the inquiry is a judge called Shri Garg, who was a retired ADG, who has been appointed not by Aam Aadmi Party or by Aam Aadmi Party government. He has been appointed by LG, and as you know, in Delhi, there is no relationship between the two.
Okay.
I'm not asking about the judicial inquiry, sir. I'm asking about the clean chit that you give this evening.